I'm just filming a little segment quick here because I just found some of this stuff. Chop, chop, chop. No, I'm not trying to be a pirate, although I love pirates, especially Johnny Depp and Pirates of the Caribbean Disney. But I just had some minor head surgery and I can't put a hat on because it would hurt, but it's all nasty, so, and this keeps me from scratching and popping stitches and being even bloodier mess. Anyway, so took the not a Glock 20 to the range and had some issues. First of all, it was not loading rounds from the magazines correctly. Every few rounds it would kind of stop with the slide halfway open, and the round, you know, if this is the chamber, the round was kind of partially in and stuck between that and the slide. And I've got some footage I'll put in the video for that problem. And then the second problem was light primer strikes. And so the two, if it's fully in chamber, the light primer strikes are not caused by the recoil spring. But I was thinking, because it's a Polymer 80, that perhaps the recoil spring, even though I've ground and polished it quite a bit, was still catching on that bottom channel. So as you can see in the lower here, if this will focus for me, so this is the channel. This is fully put together, or whatever you want to call it when you get it. There's no ground out polymer part here. It's blocked. It's just a solid block of polymer. So you have to grind this out and then polish it. And I've done that a couple times, and it's probably smoother than the rest of the polymer on the gun at this point. It definitely is. It's very smooth, silky smooth, like your undies. But I thought maybe the spring was still catching on there, because I still have problems taking it apart sometimes. It just doesn't, you can feel it catch on the recoil spring assembly and it doesn't want to come off, which can be an indication that this is not ground down far enough and you just need to go farther. So I keep checking that, and that doesn't seem to be the issue. But that, regardless, that would have nothing to do with light primer strikes. If it's fully in battery, you shouldn't get a light primer strike. So, a couple things I discovered today pulling this apart. I'm waiting for some parts to come in, but I pulled it apart today just to take a look and see what was going on. So the first thing I discovered, I'm pretty disappointed with this company. So I ordered a slide completion kit from Rocky Brass because I couldn't find a Glock OEM completion kit. I thought this was, but then when I looked again at my order, it's a Rocky Brass precision slide completion kit. And I noticed that the striker was weird in the channel. Sometimes it would catch, which seems like something is wrong, right? So I pulled it apart today. Lo and behold, the first thing you'll notice about this striker is that the spring cup is split. And this is what's catching in the striker channel inside of the slide, right? So this spring cup is a two-piece. It's supposed to hold, you see it just popped back up on its own. It's supposed to hold the striker spring, right, between the striker sleeve and the top of the striker. But what it's doing is, that's what it's supposed to look like. But what it keeps doing is, anytime anything touches it, it springs apart and comes up over where it's supposed to be holding the spring in. And because that's too wide, it's catching in the channel liner, right, and retarding the movement of the firing spring. So that's why this firing spring sometimes sets off the round, and sometimes you get a light primer strike. And light primer strike, for instance, if you can see on the back of this round, you can see that this round was hit, right? The striker hit this round, but it obviously didn't set it off because it wasn't allowed to go forward enough, because the spring cup was retarding the movement. So, and this is a Rocky Precision part. This is garbage. Alright, I'm replacing the whole thing because that should never happen. That's just garbage. I actually 3D printed my own. Fun in here. I went on Thingiverse and 3D printed my own. See if you can see that Glock Armorer's end cap here. So you can see if your striker and your crosspiece have the correct interface, and mine does. It's 100% covered by the striker, so we're good there. So it's basically just a problem with that piece of crap assembly. Alright guys, and this is just a photo of the old cups, how they split. This is all the new stuff I ordered to try to fix the issues. And this is the new titanium nitride coated lightweight striker assembly. And I also got an extended release so I could actually use the release. Crib tag. Highlander. Hey guys, we're out at the range today. I brought my camera and forgot to bring the fully charged batteries for it, which are sitting in the charger. So we're going to do some cell phone footage. Yeah, alright, I know. Okay, so right now we're going to load 5 rounds of PMC bronze. And we have a 22-pound recoil spring in there right now, as opposed to the factory's 17. I believe it's 17 or 16. So we're going to try that out first. Let's see if we can see this in my cell phone in the pocket. Okay, next up is S&B 180 grain 10mm with the 22-pound recoil spring. Did you want to chamber initially? That was all 5 rounds, except for it didn't want to chamber initially. Next up is the Underwood 200 grain hard cast, also 22-pound recoil spring. Failed to lock back on empty, but other than that, all 5 rounds, no problem. So most of those rounds, I'm shooting here. I'm under I'm under a little shelter here because it's raining today, and there's a target. It's about 21 to 25 feet away, depending on where I'm standing under here. Most of the rounds are going right here on the ground, but the Underwood rounds were 3 of them were grouped under my rear tire. So I don't know where the other 2 went, but that's pretty funny. Okay, and that's a barely captive recoil spring because I pulled it out of the gun and it just came right off the end of the recoil rod. But we've got the stock Glock 20 recoil assembly. We're going to put that in now and run some rounds through it and see how it does. Okay, stock recoil spring. We're going to do 15 rounds, 5 PMC, 5 S&B, and 5 Underwood, just kind of in a row here. Went ahead and replaced that target. All right, see how it runs with the stock recoil spring. All right. We go again. This is PMC first. Then S&B. No Underwood. Okay, I've got a whole magazine of the PMC bronze from the last time, the ones that were all failing to fire. So we're going to see how they do. This is the stock Glock 20 recoil spring. And again, we replaced the firing pin with a titanium nitride coated lightweight one. And I replaced basically the whole striker assembly, and that seems to have fixed the light primer strikes. So now we're just making sure it feeds. Not too bad. So again, I have not sighted the hollow sun in. It's just wherever it was set from the factory. Might be a little low for 21 feet, 7 yards. That's kind of what I normally try to do for defensive shooting, you know, and then you vary it up. But that's usually around where I have it sighted in at 7 yards. So I may have to mess with it a little bit, but it works for now. It's a little low, but it's all right. We are fogging it the fuck up here at the... I can't see it on my right eye. And I'm right eye dominant. Yeah, you know. Could be a reason I'm shooting low too, so I can't see. Well, to be honest, I'm not really aiming much. I'm trying to just make sure that we can get all of these rounds through. Kind of break it in a little bit, make sure it's working good, because this will be my hiking gun at some point. Please God, yes, because I went hiking this weekend 8 miles with a Mark 25, and I got to tell you, after a while, that is some extra weight. Okay, so 15 rounds of S&B, 180 grain with the 22-pound recoil spring. I gotta tell you, that's pretty annoying. Oh, hold that one low. Lower anyway. Alright, so the last few, I don't know if this stuff's getting broken in or whatever, so the last few went through no problem. But you can see I was kind of having that same feeding issue at the beginning with the S&B as I did with the PMC. So it may be that the recoil spring is too heavy. 22 pounds on this one, so this might only be good for like Underwood. So I got 5 rounds of Underwood loaded. I'm not doing a full magazine of Underwood because that stuff is expensive. But so we got 5 rounds of the 200 grain Underwood. So let's see how that runs with a 22 pound spring. Now. And see, the Underwood just runs with it. So I almost feel like the spring is too heavy for the lighter ammo. So we'll check on that. We'll see what's going on. Whew! Underwood stinks though. So this right here is what I'm talking about. Now if you look in there, you can see it's not touching the extractor yet. So the case is just stuck between the bottom of the slide, and it's kind of going into the chamber, but it just won't chamber on its own. Now what I've been doing, and I can't do it one-handed here. Hold on, I can't hold my phone and do this at the same time. What I've been doing is just, if I pull back slightly, it chambers around. So that kind of makes me think that maybe the spring is just too heavy. So it's catching it before the magazine has popped it up enough to feed it. So let's see if if I can aim down the camera. Oh, this is hard. Oh, there it is. There, see? Now I've caught it again. Now maybe if I can do this, if I bump back the slide, or the sight on the slide, I can show you. If I pull it back just a tiny bit, see how that round pops up and then is completely in line with the chamber. So that kind of makes me think the spring is just catching it and not letting it go forward all the way. But I don't know, it may just need to wear in too. Alright guys, it is stickier than Satan's ballsack out here. So we're going to put a couple more magazines of S&B through, 5 more rounds of Underwood, and we're going to call it a night. Alright guys, last rounds of the day. I'm sweaty, it's hot, it's after work. I haven't eaten dinner yet. It's 7 o'clock. It's time to put this bitch to rest and go home. So what we've got is a full mag of S&B, a half mag of S&B, and then 5 more rounds of Underwood. This is the default Glock 20 spring. We're going to see how this goes, and then we're going to call it a night. Alright, so this is the half mag. This is the full mag. Now that loaded when I racked it, as opposed to the other one, so I don't know. And then the Underwood. So, what we can say without a doubt is that the Underwood runs flawlessly. If I go hiking again in the next month, I would not hesitate to bring this along loaded with 200 grain hard cast Underwood bullets, because they run like a top through this thing. What it doesn't like is cheaper ammunition. It doesn't like the S&B. It really doesn't like the PMC. So we're going to have to see what's up with that. But for the stuff I actually want it to run for self-defense, like Underwood, it runs great. So it may be that just the other stuff is pussy rounds and it needs a lighter spring for that. We'll see. Anyway, signing off. I gotta say, for not really aiming, I mean, I was kind of trying to pick a clear spot towards the end just to put rounds into just to, you know, make sure it was firing or whatever, but like it still blew out this part of the target. It's kind of funny. And we're done with part the third. On to part the fourth. Son of a...